Oh, I did do it. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and congratulations to making it all the way down to the summary portion of graphing the the tangent and cotangent function. A little bit rough on this video. So what I want to do is just kind of go over kind of the summary of graphing the tangent and cotangent function, and then just kind of go over some tips and tricks, as well as some common mistakes that I see as a teacher inside my classroom as well as online. So basically, when we're looking into graphing sine and cosine, the basic thing that we want to do is pretty much identify the transformation, right? Look for determine the values of A, B, C, and D, and determine what transformations are those values going to do with our function. And basically, what we want to do is know our parent graph and see, all right, based on the transformation, what is my new period? What is my new x scale? Is there going to be a reflection? And is there a vertical transformation or a phase shift? So based on the values that I have for each function, I will transform them from the parent graph and then go ahead and graph. So into some tips and tricks. The main thing I see a lot of students when they're doing tangent and cotangent is mixing them up. Just like students do with sine and cosine, they kind of mix up tangent and cotangent. They forget which one falls left, rises right, which one has the asymptote at 0, which one has the asymptote at pi halves, and so forth. So main important thing is you got to know the difference of the parent graphs, and you got to know what the parent graphs look like. Where are the asymptotes and where are the intercepts? The next thing is also, again, knowing the characteristics. Tangent and cotangent do not have an amplitude. However, the difference now is that their period, remember, instead of using 2 pi, their period now is pi. And the other tip and tricks that I like to use is, I forgot to write this in there, the x scale period divided by 2. For sine and cosine, we took the x scale was period divided by 4. And that was because the characteristics of a period for sine and cosine was, the maximum, the intercepts, the minimum, the intercepts, and so forth. But when we're doing sine and cosine, all we have is asymptotes and intercepts. So if I'm doing an x scale of divided by 4, then those other 2 points are going to actually be points on the graph, which is helpful when you're looking into graphing it manually. But I'm not really going to be so concerned, at least me as a teacher, about you determining the points on that graph. Whereas you can go ahead and use a computer system or a graphing calculator to do that. The main important thing is I want to know that you know those exact values for the asymptote and the x-intercepts when graphing them. Now let's get into some common mistakes. One, again, being the phase shift. This is a very common mistake when students are taking the phase shift. They always see, if it's, tan of pi x minus 3. They say, oh, no, so you're going to shift 3 units to the right. No. Be careful. The period has been changed because I have a coefficient of my x. So therefore, to solve for phase shift, we always got to take whatever's inside of our parentheses and set it equal to 0. The next thing is knowing the initial period. That kind of goes back to knowing the parent graph. What is the difference between tangent and cotangent? Because they're very similar to each other, but they do differ, and we really want to make sure we know where the asymptotes go and which one, how is their behavior. And that also just kind of gets into asymptotes. Understanding the asymptotes. A lot of students will mix up the asymptotes and the intercepts. Where there's supposed to be an intercept, they throw an asymptote. Where there's an asymptote, there's an intercept. So it's really helpful to kind of understand, why we have intercepts and why we have asymptotes. And therefore, you can always go back and check your work, plugging in those values to make sure that what you're doing is correct. And that's basically about it for the summary. I hope you enjoyed the course and you were able to take some great information from it. I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Thanks.